For 3 days, the world held its breath. Jesus had died, and heaven went silent. What happened between the cross and the resurrection wasn't emptiness. It was war, not on earth, but in the unseen realm. When Jesus breathed his last, the skies wept, the earth shook, the veil tore, but his story didn't end at the tomb. It had just moved to a different battlefield. His body lay lifeless in the grave, but his spirit? It surged with purpose. He descended, not as a soul in mourning, but as a warrior king, not into hell as we imagine it, but into the waiting place of the dead, a realm of silence, shadows, and centuries of souls. This was Sheol, the underworld, divided into 2 parts, a place of peace for the faithful and a place of torment for the lost. And into this realm Jesus came, not defeated, but unstoppable. The gates of death were thick with darkness, guarded, sealed, feared. But then light burst into the gloom, a presence the dead had never seen before, holy, radiant, alive. The darkness trembled. This was not a rescue mission. This was a declaration. Every soul, righteous and wicked, saw him. To the wicked, he was judge. To the faithful, he was the long-awaited deliverer. Abraham stood in awe. Moses wept with joy. David bowed low. Eve finally saw the promised seed. This was the moment they'd waited for, the Messiah standing among them. And then Satan appeared, the deceiver, the jailer, the one who thought he had won. He had watched the crucifixion with smug delight. He had underestimated what would come next. Jesus didn't flinch. With thunder in his voice, he broke the silence of Sheol. The keys to death and the grave, once held in the enemy's grasp, were torn from his trembling hands. Chains shattered. Prison doors blew open. And then Jesus called them by name. One by one, the faithful stepped into the light behind him, led from the land of waiting into victory. It was a jailbreak of eternal proportions. The first exodus was from Egypt. This one, from death itself. Jesus didn't come to beg. He came to reign. He stood in the pit of humanity's fear and flipped the script. Hell wasn't his end. It was his footstool. And just as suddenly as he came, he rose. On the 3rd day, his spirit returned to the tomb, and where death once ruled, life surged. Stone cracked, breath returned. The grave, still cold and sealed, couldn't hold him. Jesus stood, alive, radiant, immortal. He had conquered what no man could. Death was crushed. Hell was emptied. The curse was broken. And just when you think the story couldn't get more astonishing, something happened that most overlook. According to Matthew 27, after Jesus rose, graves around Jerusalem broke open. Holy people, long dead, were raised to life. They walked the streets, witnesses to something earth-shaking. The resurrection was only the beginning. For 40 days, Jesus walked again among his followers, teaching, healing, preparing them, until the moment came. He ascended, lifted by glory, wrapped in light, returning to the Father. But he left something behind, a promise that the same power that raised him now lives in us. The cross was not the end. The grave was not the finale. Those 3 days weren't a pause in the plan. They were the plan, a turning point for eternity. Victory belongs to Jesus.